Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. All right, to kick things off, yes, I'm camping again. Yes, it's another absolutely gorgeous day out. Spring is in full effect here, the animals are out and very active, and the weather is extremely nice. And unfortunately, Nintendo made me not smile in the thumbnail. But why not just come along with me on my morning walk here? We can talk about the news and hopefully this scenery can cheer you up a little bit. I mean, it's really hard to be sad when the scenery is this beautiful. If you get outside a little bit, it's just, I do encourage it. I just think it's good for the soul. I'm a ginger too, so that's really saying a lot. Anyways, here about Nintendo, we talked about this a little bit yesterday and I didn't realize it was as bad as I thought. So it's actually worse than I thought. So yesterday we talked about Nintendo changing the EULA. And in that EULA, and feel free to check out yesterday's video for even more information on the matter, but in that EULA, Nintendo made it much more difficult to file a lawsuit against them and a class action lawsuit against them. It was a very weird EULA that a lot of people did not like, myself included. However, there was something in there that was even bigger and it's being talked about quite a bit. So the way I understand it, and the way a lot of people understand it, is Nintendo basically reserves the right to break your console if they're not happy with the way you're using it, as outlined in their EULA. So here's what they're saying. Without limitation, you agree that you may not publish, copy, modify, reverse engineer, lease, rent, decompile, disassemble, distribute, offer for sale, or create derivative works of any portion of Nintendo account services. Now, if you think that's bad, there's even more here. Bypass, modify, decrypt, defeat, tamper with, or otherwise circumvent any of the functions or protections of the Nintendo account services, including through the use of any hardware or software that would cause the Nintendo account services to operate other than in the accordance with its documentation and intended use. But wait, there's even more. Not joking with you here. Obtain, install, or use any unauthorized copies of Nintendo account services, or exploit the Nintendo account services in any manner other than to use them in accordance with the applicable documentation and intended use. Now, from here, it goes into the consequences of this, and this is what people are talking about. So they say you acknowledge that if you fail to comply with the foregoing restrictions, Nintendo may render the Nintendo account services and or the applicable Nintendo device permanently unusable in whole or in part. Now, I don't know about you, but the way I'm reading it and the way a lot of people are reading it is if you don't play by Nintendo's rules, you don't play Nintendo at all. And that seems to be Nintendo's stance, and that seems to have been Nintendo's stance for a very long time now. Now, I'm not gonna lie here. I've received a whole bunch of messages about this one. There's a lot of conversation surrounding the whole issue. A lot of people are talking about this one online. And there are a number of people wondering, is Nintendo self-imploding here? Are they self-sabotaging? Are they self-destructing? I mean, this is one controversy on a sea of controversy surrounding the recent Switch 2 stuff. I mean, you could argue that it started with the price of the Switch 2 and then the price of the Switch 2 games and then the game keycard files. And then now this, and probably some other stuff tucked in there as well. You could even argue some of the recent Nintendo lawsuits, but they just seem to be an always kind of thing. Anyways, I don't necessarily think this is going to impact Nintendo's bottom line. I don't think they're self-imploding or really anything like that. I mean, I think people are still going to pick up Nintendo products, the software, the hardware, and still play Nintendo. I think this will impact some hardcore fans, but I think the general casual fan won't really care. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know your thoughts about the entire situation in the comments below. I mean, I am very curious to hear what everyone is saying about this, what everyone thinks about this. I don't know here. I mean, I was initially kind of excited about the potential for a Switch 2. And then the more I learned about it, and then I saw the price and the price of the games and, well, all of that, the game keycard files and, well, now this, and tuck in the lawsuits there with Nintendo as well. And I've got no interest in buying a Switch 2. I mean, just more and more stuff comes out to put me off of Nintendo and their systems. I wish they would work with the community, not against it. I mean, you see the success of games that support modding, and this is just games we're talking about. I mean, if you just take a look at something like Skyrim, or even Oblivion now, that game just stands the test of time. Those games stand the test of time. And one of the big reasons I would say is community support. I mean, if you don't have that, you don't really have a whole lot, in my opinion here. Now, I know that's kind of an apple and oranges comparison, and I know some people may call that out in the comments, but at the same time, I did want to make that comparison because Nintendo is known to be against the community for certain things. I mean, they've canceled fighting game tournaments, Smash tournaments that were using mods for an older version of Smash that they don't even make anymore. And the mods help balance the game, help breathe new life into it. And Nintendo was not happy with that and shut the tournament down. I think they've shut down multiple tournaments. It's just, I don't know here. I mean, Nintendo has such great games. They have such great characters, such great stories in their games. And a lot of people love Nintendo stuff. And you just think Nintendo would embrace the community to help drive themselves to be the best gaming company out there, not what they're currently doing right now, which I would argue is completely against the community. I'm going to stop ranting on this one and frickin' just enjoy the nature. And speaking about doom and gloom stuff, next up we're talking about Doom: The Dark Ages. And Doom: The Dark Ages reviews have started coming out now. The embargo is up and this game is being very positively reviewed. I mean, taking a look over here on OpenCritic, and the top critic average for Doom: The Dark Ages is 86% overall, with 96% of critics recommending it. GameRant gave it 8 out of 10, IGN 9 out of 10, PC Gamer 80 out of 100, Eurogamer 4 out of 5, The Gamer 3.5 out of 5, Games Radar Plus 3.5 out of 5, GameSpot 8 out of 10, and VG 24/7 4 out of 5. Now this snippet from IGN's review is something I really like. I mean, they say here, Doom: The Dark Ages may strip away the mobility focus of Doom Eternal, but replaces it with a very weighty and powerful style of play that is different from anything the series has done before, and still immensely satisfying in its own way. Now, I don't know about you, but I absolutely love Doom. But one of the things about Doom Eternal that I don't like is that I get motion sick if I play it for too long. And I'm hoping here that the latest Doom is not going to be like that. Doom: The Dark Ages is something I am really looking forward to, and I'm hoping that they smash it out of the park. But based on the reviews, it seems like it will. Now, Doom Eternal is set to release on May 15th, so just in a few days now, and if you're trying to avoid spoilers, you may want to not check out stuff like YouTube and other things, because this game is being spoiled left, right, and center. There's gameplay footage, there are screenshots, there's a whole lot of plot information being shared online. If you like stuff being spoiled, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. So feel free to check it out to learn more about it. I mean, this is one that's got a lot of people talking. And speaking about getting people talking, next up we're talking about something that's got a number of people talking in the emulation scene. And that's with Shad PS4, so a PS4 emulator. Shad PS4 is working on something called version 0.8.1. And if you're a fan of Near Replicant, well, you're gonna like this. Now, version 0.8.1 is currently a work in progress, but things are looking really good. You can check out a video, and again, everything we talk about, links in the description below if you wanted to see it in action. But they say here, latest fixes to our GPU engine exposed a new working game, Near Replicant. This is significant process. Game seems to work quite smoothly. I'm kind of shocked to see the improvements with Shad PS4 here. I mean, Bloodborne itself was, that was just extraordinary. And now seeing Near Replicant and others just get up and booting and in-game to the quality that I'm seeing here is, well, I just think the emulation developers are something else. They're a different breed altogether, and in the best of ways possible. They are absolutely incredibly talented. And speaking about incredibly talented, next up we're talking about iOS and emulation, specifically JIT. So we have talked about JIT in the past. We talked about stick debug. We've talked about a bunch of stuff. And JIT is one of the big things that's really holding back emulation on iOS. I mean, JIT is used to basically make emulators run games a whole lot smoother. I mean, it's used in stuff like Dolphin. It's used in more recent emulators, something like Citra, or was previously used in something like Yuzu. Anyways, this is not a problem for Android whatsoever, but on iOS, it's being reported that JIT is getting removed in newer versions of iOS. And that, I would say, is not great for the iPhone scene. If you're a fan of the iPhones, if you're a fan of emulation on iPhones, more than likely with the removal of JIT, there are ways around it, but I think it involves jailbreaking and a bunch of other stuff that I'd say the average user probably isn't really up to or interested in. Anyways, if you're interested in iPhone moving forward, I think emulation will just be limited to lower systems, older systems, like stuff older than Dreamcast, maybe even just Dreamcast and PS1 and previous. But if you're looking for PS2 emulation, more good stuff like that, I think unless phones get super powerful, which arguably they might, this is just going to pose a big problem and I think, frustration for the emulation seen on iOS. Now, it is worth pointing out here that my opinion probably doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't own an iPhone, I don't emulate on iOS, so all I know is through secondhand experience, not firsthand experience. I report on it because it's the news, it's in the emulation community, it's in the gaming community, and I want to talk about it. However, I'm not the expert when it comes to emulation on iOS, but taking a look at the emulation on iOS community here on Reddit, the top comment is, Android it is. Someone does say though, we've already found a workaround for this and I don't see why everyone's freaking out. And someone replies to that, I guess only time will tell how long current methods will last. The previous JIT options in iOS 17 broke with iOS 18. So it's not too outrageous to expect the same with iOS 19 coming. Someone else says, getting real tired of the constant uphill battle to do the most basic things. I think it's time I switch to Android. And someone else says, just get a Steam Deck OLED. That's a great suggestion, but at the same time, that's not a mobile phone. Anyways here, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. And last up here, we're talking about SaveState. SaveState is a user-friendly GUI application for Windows to easily back up and restore video game save files, especially useful for games without cloud saves or for managing multiple save locations. We've talked about SaveState in the past, and it just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 1.3.9 is the latest update for SaveState. And they say here this release further expands emulator compatibility by adding experimental support for Flycast, Dreamcast emulation, and introduced several user interface enhancements for a smoother and more intuitive workflow, including new double-click actions. So at this point in time, SaveState supports Ryujinx, Yuzu, RPCS3, DuckStation, Dolphin, PPSSPP, Citrus, CMU, MGBA, SNES 9X, Desmumi, and now Flycast. SaveState is 100% free, it's open source, and feel free to check it out if you're interested in learning more about it. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff, which is kind of surprising given the fact that there's a lot of animals out. There's a lot of birds, I hear a lot of birds, I hear a lot of rustling, just nothing near me, which is very weird, it's very abnormal. Maybe they're sensing my negative energy for being upset about some of the Nintendo news. That's got to be it. Anyways, we talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.